to Pharma Television News Review here at BioEurope Spring in Barcelona 2013. On this show, I have Professor Helga Rubsamen-Chef, who works at AiCuris. In fact, she's the CEO of AiCuris. Welcome.
Welcome. Hello.
Well, Helga, thanks for coming along. Obviously, AiCuris is a German company.
Correct.
It's spun out of Bayer back in 2006, and you're focused on anti-infectives. So tell us a story about AiCuris.
Well, as you mentioned, our roots are in Bayer, and Bayer made the decision that they didn't want to continue infectious disease work. And we were convinced that a world like today's world needs, of course, new drugs against bad bugs.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we decided to continue this work and found investors who formed the new company with us. And we named it AiCuris for anti-infective cures. And when we say cures, we mean it. So we really want to make drugs that make a difference.
Okay. Now, obviously, as you said rightly, the anti-infective story is not over. There's a continual fight to kill off infectious diseases, obviously, both at a bacterial and viral level. What were you bringing with you from Bayer that gave confidence to investors to back it?
Yeah, well, Bayer at that time gave us all the young projects that we had been working at Bayer. So these were a total of 13 compounds that had not seen the human being yet. So they were preclinical or even only in research, but at least we had a large pool of compounds to draw from and to develop further, and then to see where the gold nuggets would be.
Okay, so you got your investors. What type of investors did you get on board? These were typical VCs?
No, these are private people, but they knew about something about the pharmaceutical industry because they had one of their major generics business in Germany called Hexal.
Okay.
And in around the year when we were founded, they had sold that to Novartis and were looking for new investment options and decided at least to put part of their money into innovative drugs.
Okay. And have they? And since then, have you raised more money from other investors?
No, we are still with the same investors. In fact, our investors have bought Bayer's shares in 2011, and we had 2 additional financing rounds, one with 55 million euros and one with 25. And this was done by our first investors and adding some of their friends and family as minority investors. Okay,
excellent. So obviously you got some good funding. You have to make sure you use that money wisely, obviously, going forward.
Of course.
So how have you been using that money? What are your lead compounds now? Where are they?
Well, as I said, I mean, when we started, we had 13 projects. 4 of them were for the human cytomegalovirus, 1 herpes drug, 1 drug against hepatitis B. There was an HIV project, hepatitis C projects, and antibiotics. Right now, we had last year our first deal as a company where we sold our portfolio of drugs against the human cytomegalovirus, a cousin of herpes widespread in the human population. And today, our lead drug is a drug against herpes. In addition, we have an interesting but still quite young antibiotic, which is a gram-negative resistance-breaking antibiotic, which is rather broadly active. And that will start phase 1 next year. But now we can talk to some companies about it because there is lots of interest in this area, and again, it's an area of very high unmet medical need. Right.
When you take products out of a company like Bayer, you have to bring with it obviously the products themselves, but you have to bring the expertise, the science as well, and obviously the founding science to some of these products. Has to be there. Have you managed to retain that?
Yeah.
And how much are you exploiting that still to that engine in order to keep your product?
I think that was one of the very important things that Bayer said to me at that time, that I would not only be allowed to take the projects, but also people who had been working on them.
Sure.
And so I was really able to select the best biologists from that team at that time. So many who went with me are now seeing their own projects grow over time and became in the new company the champion for the respective project. And I think this is really part of the reason why we are so successful and why we in relatively short time could move so many projects to where they are today.
Right.
But just to answer another question that you
yes.
that you implied, yes, we do own research. So this biology team is still doing research. And this new antibiotic I was telling you about is already discovered outside Bayer. So that's our own discovery and was not started at Bayer yet.
Okay. Now, just on the antibacterial, the gram-negative antibiotic, what approach have you taken there? What is novel about the approach that you've taken there in relation to other antibiotics?
Well, generally, as I said, we want to make a difference. So most of our drugs really come with totally novel chemistry and address novel targets in the bacteria or viruses. In this case, we have done something different. We have taken an existing compound class, but have modified the chemistry.
Okay.
In order to bring it broader, reach a broader resistance breaking potential.
Okay. And how, I mean, anti-infectives, obviously they relate because these are foreign bodies that come into us, but what is the relationship between the two, and between a program that's focused towards bacteria versus a program that's focused against viruses?
A virus. Well, I think the main difference is that when you make an antiviral, a classical antiviral, you are targeting one virus, let's say herpes or HIV. When you today make an antibiotic, what people expect you to do is target a number of different bacteria. So you always want to have something broad spectrum. The reason is that if someone comes into the hospital and is very sick, the doctor doesn't know exactly which bug he has, but he has to treat immediately, because many of these conditions are life-threatening. So people normally want a broad spectrum. Things will change, I think, over time, where there are specific diagnostic tests available in the future, and then you can make more narrow spectrum drugs.
Sure.
But that's, I think, not here now. So we are still working on broad spectrum drugs, but that of course makes it more difficult to come up with them.
Yeah, indeed.
Because you have to hit a whole number of different.
Exactly, but they're also used prophylactically as well. So you're trying to hit off as many potential infections.
That's something you can do as well, but of course antibiotics normally are not being used prophylactically, because people are afraid of creating a lot of resistance.
Yeah, sure. So just you mentioned that you disposed of the cytomegalovirus program. Who did you sell that to?
This was a license that we gave last year in 2012 to Merck Sharp Dohme.
Okay.
And so they have the whole portfolio of drugs with the frontrunner letermovir, which had a successful phase 2, where we saw a very nice and dose-dependent inhibition of the virus in the transplant setting. So that deal was struck last year. It was for us a very nice deal with an upfront of 110 million euros and milestone payments of over 300 million euros. These are milestones in terms of regulatory achievements, but also in terms of clinical achievements. And then, of course, royalties. And we also kept for us, in some European countries, an option for co-promoting the drugs.
You must be pretty proud of what you've been able to achieve, considering the effort that you needed to take to get that program out of Bayer.
Absolutely. I think what these 7 years have shown to us, that a group that started as researchers has learned to develop drugs and to forecast markets, etc. And that was quite some way that we, not only myself, but everyone who went with me from Bayer, that we were going. But I think it was a way that was a lot of fun, was a challenge, but at the same time very rewarding, I think. And for a small company like we are, having not just this program that we licensed last year, but a second drug with a successful phase 2 is quite something. So we're very happy about it.
Excellent. Helga, thank you very much indeed for coming on the show.
You're most welcome.